Hey, what's up, guys? James from Junkyard Fox. Thank you so much for joining me. I have gotten a lot of requests to do skills videos while we're doing this whole quarantine thing. Some of those I'm going to be able to do, some I can't, because keep in mind I live in the city, so I'm far away from the desert, so I'm not going to be able to gather certain materials. But this one's pretty simple. Today, we're talking about flint and steel. Now, this is one of the oldest forms of making fire. It goes all the way back to the Viking times, probably prior to that. Now, I've actually made a video on this many years ago. I mean, one of our earliest videos. I believe it was our third ever video, long before this channel was called Junkyard Fox. It was just called James Harris at the time. And I just watched that video earlier. The information still holds up pretty well, but it's an early video, so I'm very awkward in front of camera, and the camera person behind that was a girl I was dating at the time. Wonky angles and stuff like that, so it hasn't aged well. So I think we're overdue to come back and revisit this for those of you who are looking for some tips and tricks. So thank you for joining me. Okay, so flint and steel. Flint and steel is a very popular form of making fire amongst primitive skills type people, bushcrafters, that kind of stuff. In fact, it is my favorite form of making fire when I'm either out relaxing or testing my skills. So what I like about it is that these things are fairly simple to come by. First of all, let's talk about this. This is just a piece of carbon steel. With the internet, you can buy them anywhere. Self-Reliance Outfitters, Amazon. They're fairly cheap, $7 to $20. You might get something fancier if you like something more custom from a blacksmith. But very simple to make. Very simple to order. And you can also make some if you have some old files somewhere in your shed or something like that. Once again, just has to be carbon steel. And then rocks. Doesn't have to be flint. It could be any rock. It just has to be strong rock. It has to be a very hard rock, like quartz. Now, I'm no geologist, but how it helped me when I was first learning this stuff is look for rocks that they kind of look like canyons, if that makes sense. Here, let me try to get that to focus. But you see how there's flat spots, then they kind of break up, then flat spots, kind of like, once again, like canyons in a movie or something. And then this one is dark. Like flint's going to be very dark gray. We all live in different areas, so the rocks in your region, your geology might differ, but just get yourself a piece of steel and try with rocks that, when you're out hiking or whatever, check your yard. And if you feel like they're going to work, they might work. So this is basically what you do. First of all, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my dominant hand to hold steel. Of course, my left hand's going to hold the rock, and you're going to kind of aim towards the edge. You want to basically just flick off a little bit of the pieces. Now on this hand, hold the steel like this. Do not hold it like this. Do not hold it like this. None of that, because if you miss, and that goes like that, you can just bust your hand. I've learned the hard way. You get annoying scrapes. This is a sharp rock. You're aiming at a sharp piece of the rock, so you're gonna cut yourself. So do this. Get your rock, and you're gonna see sparks. I'm doing the best without a camera person here, but and yeah, you're gonna have a collection of rocks. You don't want to just have one. So let's try a different one. I believe that this one should be stronger. So let's see those sparks. Okay, folks, so here we go. We already discussed flint and steel. Now we need a third ingredient, and that's going to be char or char cloth. Now, once again, I know most of you watching already know this stuff. I'm mainly addressing the newbies, so I'm covering all the basics. So here is your tin to make char cloth. Char cloth is basically carbonized material. You basically made small amounts of charcoal from natural material. It has to be cotton, linen, that kind of stuff. So an old t-shirt, an old bandana. I like to use old wash rags, because they're very spongy. And I'll demonstrate how to make some of this stuff later. But for now, this is what we need. And then, of course, you can take it to the next level as you're more experienced in the wilderness. You can make some char out of natural material like pithy wood, the innards of certain types of plants, or out of punkwood, which is rotting wood. It's spongy, it's rotting. So here we go. What we're doing is we're going to place this over our rock, and then we're going to strike it. And when we do that, our goal is to land one of those little sparks on the char, because we want it to, once it lands there, it begins to spread. The heat begins to spread, and you start seeing it. You're basically making an ember. So that's basically having the flint and steel. You know, that's the essentials. This is going to make things a lot easier. So let me see if I can get this on camera. There we go. Not sure if you can pick that up. Took a few tries, but there we have it. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up. See that ember spreading? There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna need from here, this is a good practice. Now, in order to get the fire going, we're gonna need some kind of tinder bundle. We just need a bundle of dead grass, that kind of stuff that's been processed down. The fuzzier, the better. And then we're gonna place this in there and try to get the fire, to the ember, to spread from here onto the grass, and then we make flame. So, coming up soon, but check that out. Okay, so you saw the flint and steel in action, you saw it light the char cloth, and now we need our final ingredient, which is the easiest, and sometimes it could be the hardest, which is just gathering dead grass and twigs and that kind of stuff to make a tinder bundle or a bird's nest. Now sometimes it's easy, sometimes that's a little bit trickier. I live in the desert, we're bone dry out here, we haven't seen rain in like months, so for me it's not going to be difficult. Here we go. And you want it the spongier the better. So you want to fluff it up. The fluffy, you know, the easier, the more beat up all this material inside is, the easier it is to go ahead and catch. So I'm going to put this down. All right. Place this in here. Put it in there. Once again, kind of like, once again, terrible angles, but in there like a nest, like the egg in a nest. And we're going to blow upwards so you don't get smoke in your eye. Long, steady breaths. Long, steady blows. And there we go. In case it's being a little bit more difficult during times when you're trying to blow into it and you're running, you could see that you're running out of char cloth, just go ahead and add a little bit more. You can always make some more char cloth, but that's the first way. That's the way I normally make my fire, using flint and steel. Okay, so that was my main method. Here is a secondary method. I never do this one, to be honest, so, you know, I just think it's worth mentioning. And maybe this works better for you. It doesn't for me. I kind of feel like this is a little less concentrated, but you can do this. So once again, I mentioned earlier, this is how you make your char cloth, right? Now here's all my char. Now in case you don't want to, you know, take your time trying to land one little piece of spark on there, in case that's taking too long or whatever, you can actually just strike this way. Now this way it's going to be a little bit different. In this way, I switch, so now my non-dominant hand is using the steel, and now I'm going to use this rock, and I'm going to just aim it this way, down, basically. I just want to make sure that the sparks are going down this way, and I'm going to aim it at this bed, and let's see how it comes out. Now, once again, I'm not as versed on this method. I might have to get a different rock. I'll try a different rock. There we go. You see that? And there we go. That makes it a lot easier if you rather do that method. I personally don't really like it too much, but there it is. So you can see that it works. Then, of course, from here you would pull out that piece, put it into your tinder bundle, and blow it into life. But, yeah, method number 2. And once again, that method is a little different, at least for me. I like to use my non-dominant hand, and then the rock, you're using your dominant hand, and you're going to aim down like that. Now, you want to get a sharp edge so you can take off little flakes. And there we go. Good stuff. So once again, here is our burning up char. I'm going to make another fire just to demonstrate. I better hurry because this thing is spreading. So it's in there. And we're going to get this fire started. There we go. So here's our tin. You can see that it's still burning. In order to turn that off so it doesn't burn up, if you leave it alone, it's just gonna burn up entirely. So just close it. You want to deprive it of oxygen. So what I do is I close it and I turn it upside down and I leave it like that. In a couple minutes, it'll be dead, and then just watch out because it's gonna get pretty warm. And then just put it away. It is a very fun way of making fire, very primal, really fun. And what I like about it is these things are, once again, very easy to come by. You can buy this damn near anywhere online, pretty cheap. And rocks, you can find them. Now, you know, we live in different areas. Some places they're going to be everywhere, some places are not. Me living in, you know, where I live, these aren't readily available. But every time I go to Waco Tanks, the Waco Tanks Mountains to the west of me, they're out there, so I always end up coming with several of them. So my front yard has like 20 of them right here for me to practice. Now, you want to focus on the jagged edges. When you strike, that's where you're going to get sparks. As they begin to dull, it begins to be harder to work with. What I like to do, personally, is once they're very dull, I'll just get the rock and I'll hurl it against a rock wall or something. And when it breaks, I'll take those pieces because they're nice and jagged, and I'll use those. That's the way I do it. Other than that, I was gonna inform you guys how to make char cloth, but that's making this video kind of long, and to be honest, there's 1,000,001 videos on YouTube on how to make char cloth. Just to give you the rundown, get yourself an Altoids tin or some kind of metal container. I've even made it using a beer can. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put your material in there. It could be cotton, once again, linen, some kind of natural material. Close this up. You can puncture a hole if you wish. I prefer doing that. Then place this over a burning fire, over a roaring fire. And you're going to see this. It's going to start cooking in there, but it's not going to allow the flames to touch it. You'll see a little bit of a flame coming up here or some smoke. Give it about 10 minutes and then pull it out using some kind of sticks or something. Do not touch it with your hands. It's metal. It's going to be hot. So place it out of the fire and let it cool off before opening it. Let it cool off for about 5 minutes. If you remove it from the fire and open it, all this is going to catch fire once it gets oxygen. So once again, pull it out, let it cool off, and then you can put this in your kit, in your haversack, whatever the case may be. And these, once again, make it a lot easier to get future fires started. So that's about my rundown for that. Once again, check out videos if you like on how to make char cloth. Okay, folks, so that's about the conclusion of this video. I hope this sparked some interest in the flint and steel fire. That was terrible. Anyway, so last thing I'm going to leave you guys is how I put my stuff away. Now, of course, we already saw our tin with the char cloth. I have a secondary tin that came when I bought the steel. I got this from the Pathfinder store, Self-Reliance Outfitters, probably like 6 years ago. Place my steel in there, and I place the rocks that I'm currently using. They're decent rocks. They're not the best. I'm overdue for getting some new ones, but they still get the job done. And just gotta make sure that they fit in there fine. Close that up, and I'm gonna put these side by side in my pack. So there you go. Whenever I need them. And of course I have other things in my pack, other forms of ignition, a lighter, a ferro rod, that kind of stuff. but nice and tidy in my haversack. And that's about it for me, guys. I'm gonna make a new playlist. I'm gonna place it up here so you guys can check out our other skills we've shown throughout the years. So if you want to see how I make a figure 4 deadfall, how I make a bow drill, that kind of stuff, all those natural skills that you can still practice in your yard, I will place them if you're bored, and hopefully you enjoy them. So that's about it for me, guys. See you guys soon. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys soon, because yeah, all right, bye.